What's up, y'all, and welcome to Black Jock, the podcast centered around empowering the new wave of influencers. On today's episode, Black Bubbles and I will be discussing the intricacies of entrepreneurship, and for all you budding entrepreneurs out there, you do not want to miss a second. Stay tuned. Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of Black Chalk. Today with me, as always, is my boy, my brother, Black Bubbles. What's good, bruh?
What's up?
What's happening? Today, like always, we're hoping to bring you some great value. The topic of discussion will be centered around entrepreneurship. And yeah, we're going to dig real deep into what exactly that means and what it looks like in today's day and age. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So both of us are budding entrepreneurs. I think Black Bubbles is probably more versed and more cultured in the subject than I am. You've had a couple businesses of your own already, have you not?
Some good, some not so good.
But they've all been learning experiences. So we wanna bring those learning experiences to y'all today, and hopefully we can add some value, and hopefully we can encourage some of you budding entrepreneurs who are questioning whether or not they want to make that next step into taking that hobby to turning that into a business model of some sort. So we're hoping after today you have some tools that makes that transition a little bit easier for you. So let's jump right into it. What does entrepreneurship look like to you today exactly?
Man.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. My fault.
What does it look like? It looks like long hours, a lot less pay. There's a lot to it, and I think that it's definitely something that should never be taken lightly. I think we're going kind of through a period of people who just kind of look at entrepreneurship and say, "Wow, it kind of seems fun," or "It kind of seems like something I just want to do because it's almost like a trending kind of thing."
Yeah, see, and it wasn't like that before. Like you look at Bill Gates. I think that was probably one of the first entrepreneurs. Obviously, wasn't the first entrepreneur, but that was one of the first entrepreneurs that really got put into the public light and really made entrepreneurship cool. Like it really made people want to become entrepreneurs because they saw the possibilities that enabled, like open, like it showed them kind of what doors entrepreneurship opened for them in terms of individual success and success for your business. I think Bill Gates kind of made that cool, and then it's kind of like you said, the trend has kind of grown since then, and it's become a thing where people oftentimes equivalent entrepreneurship with success, but it's not always like that. There's always a long journey before I feel like most entrepreneurs reach that success. Am I accurate to make that assumption?
I think you are totally accurate. Considering, I have this idea that whether it takes me 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we all find success at different stages, and we all have, our own individual ideas as to what success is. And I think as an entrepreneur, man, it's like climbing a ladder, and a very long ladder. In some instances, some people may start in a different position than you, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of sweat, a lot of tears. There's gonna be some tears.
Perseverance.
Yeah.
Heart, grit, determination, grind. That's a big one. Not a lot of people want to put the pennies in the bank. For those of you who don't know, I use that expression a lot. Pennies in the bank to me is investing in yourself with the intentions or with the goal that the payoff is somewhere down the road in the foreseeable future. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be the day after that, but the payoff will come. So putting pennies in the bank is investing in yourself and investing in your dream. And I don't want to make a generalization, but I oftentimes see that adversity when people get punched in the mouth. Okay, let me use Rocky for an example. You get knocked down 7 times, but you can get back up that 8th time. How exactly? How tough are you? How strong is your? How much do you believe in yourself?
What is your why?
Yeah, exactly. What is your why? I feel like a a lot of reasons why entrepreneurs don't reach success or when they feel like they deserve to reach it is because they haven't necessarily identified that why. Why am I doing this? They may have a great idea, but if you don't have that true and genuine, reason behind that idea, then once you start to waver, it's a lot easier for you to fall down and not necessarily get back up. But we hope that through this podcast and through future podcasts, we're able to give you tools and tips and values and different types of information that makes this process and makes this journey a lot more enjoyable and insightful for all of you. So my experiences with entrepreneurship hasn't been as fruitful as Black Bubbles. I'm still a budding entrepreneur myself, but with all journeys that I embark on, I enjoy the process, because that's when you really start to learn. That's when you really start to grow, and that's when you really start to test yourself, test your will, test your drive, and your determination. I might have mentioned it before, but I'm a really growth-centric person. So I feel like being an entrepreneur, you're really forced to grow, because if you stay the same, then you're going to get left behind in the game real quick. And that brings us into a topic that we wanted to talk about, sustainable growth models. So, sustainable business growth models. So growth models I don't know why I keep on saying that. I'm really fixated on that word growth today, but sustainable business models.
That's a good word to be fixated on.
Exactly. So I can't really trip about it. But sustainable business models and what those look like in today's day and age, because in 2018 and even before that, I can say probably the 21st century, we are a really innovative community, globalized community. And with that innovation, a lot of business models are starting to change, and that becomes a lot more prevalent with the growth of social media. It really enabled a lot of people to become entrepreneurs, whether they realize it or not. We all hold the power of controlling our own personal brand, and with that, we are, in a sense, entrepreneurs, each and every single one of us. And I think that's an important realization that people need to come to terms with, that you now have the ability to go out there, and if you want to become a business owner, or if you want to pursue your dreams of opening that own restaurant of yours, you have all of the means and potential to do that through avenues like social media, where you are allowed to build your own platform and your own following. And it's a really a powerful tool that I don't feel not enough people are utilizing right now. And I hope, and I think it's safe to assume that Black Bubbles hopes that perception and that thought changes and shifts, because when people realize how powerful they are, that in itself will enable them to bring value to other people. And just think about how powerful we as a community can be if we're all bringing value to each other. That's a powerful concept to think about.
Yeah, and just to touch up on a few things regarding entrepreneurship. Like I said, I started my first business when I was 19.
How old are you now, for the listeners out there?
I'm 24 right now.
Okay.
And it's still a process. Yeah. It's I am far from what I would perceive as my idea of success. Of success. And it's just it's trial and error. It's learning. One of the things that I've come to realize that's of most importance is not necessarily looking at things in a linear way, but as an entrepreneur, you have to understand a wide variety of things on the spectrum. You have to understand the fundamentals of marketing. You have to understand price points, understand sales. You have to understand legal documentation that you need to go through and filling out, tax forms for, understanding that you have to understand finance too. At the same time too, you're going to be budgeting. You're going to be doing all of that work, but at the same time, once you're learning those processes and you're becoming accustomed to having to completely understand all those different aspects of a business, it makes it easier, and I think it's going to be a lot more easier for me to lead a larger group of people in the future as I continue on my entrepreneurial career. It's going to be a lot easier for me to lead because I now have a understanding, whether it's a basic understanding or it's a really firm understanding of each of these particular fields. So I know what to look for in who I'm going to hire to manage the finances. I know what to look for, who I'm going to hire to do the marketing. I know I have a better idea of what to look for because I've had to experience those things myself. And a lot of times, you don't really get the chance to experience all those things unless you get thrown into it. It's kind of like jumping into a pool, honestly. Jumping into a pool, you don't know how to swim.
Been there, done that. Do not suggest it, by the way. do not suggest it, by the way.
Yeah, but it's just, man, it's a process. Like I said, it could take you 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's all, it's all dependent on who you are, in your understanding of knowing that this could take me a while. This is going to be trial and error. I'm going to have wins. I'm going to have little losses. And it's no reason for me to give up or, and right now I think it is the perfect time, the utmost perfect time to become an entrepreneur, mostly because of our access to so much information. Oh my God, there's so much information out there in regards to trying to understand, how your business could flow, trying to do market research and communicating with other people who are entrepreneurs and who are doing their own things, and YouTube.
Yeah.
To be honest, bro.
YouTube is the second most used search engine in the world, and you wouldn't.
Yeah, put that into perspective, bro. The second most used search engine in the world, and it's a video platform.
Exactly. I was in the car and I was listening to talk radio today, and they're talking about fishing and different knots you can tie, and the host was talking about if there's a plethora, there's an enormous amount of different knots in the world, and any knot you want to learn how to tie, you can go on YouTube. There's a YouTube video for it. You can apply that same concept to just about anything. Like I know I joke about it for all you Reddit users out there. There's a joke, if it exists, there's a subreddit for it. Well, apply that to YouTube. If it exists, then there's probably a YouTube video on it. So I'm really tired, or I'm not tired, but I get really discouraged when I hear people make excuses where they say, yeah, I want to start my own business, but I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z. Well, my next question for you is, how bad do you want it? Because if you really wanted it bad enough, I would imagine that you would find ways around that. My biggest way around that is, for me, when I don't know how to do something, I go to YouTube, because there's a YouTube channel or YouTube video for it. And that is just one way that a platform like that adds value. That's a community of users adding value to each other, making each other increasingly better, one video at a time. That kind of sounds cheesy, but it's the truth.
One video at a time.
It's the truth. No, it just baffles me because of how far we've come as a culture and a civilization. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you would have told me that I can go on YouTube and learn how to do different types of algorithms and learn different types of marketing, tips and tricks of the trade and stuff like that, I would be like, yo, why are people giving away free information like this? But it's not about just giving away free information. It's about adding value to each other, because that's what makes us all better. That's what raises that bottom line in terms of technology, because people are adding value to each other, and it just makes everything so much more efficient. That's why I believe in the free market. I really wholeheartedly believe in the free market, because I know that if it's valuable, then if it adds value, then it is something that will become in great demand. And on a smaller scale, I believe that like you said, entrepreneurship is I don't want to say trendy, because I don't think that's something that's ever going to go away. But right now, in today's day and age, it's very easy for you to step into your entrepreneurship glory, because there's just so many tools out there that enables one to become an entrepreneur and take that next step. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of believing in yourself first and foremost, and believing in your vision, because there's going to be many times where you're going to go into a pitch an idea to somebody, and people may laugh at you, people may joke, blah, 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 blah. It may be discouraging at first even, but at the end of the day, as long as you believe in your vision, it doesn't matter if somebody else believes in it, because you can foster that and you can grow it yourself. You don't need help. Let me tell you, everybody needs help in some way, shape, or form, but what I'm trying to get at is you don't need, for instance, look at YouTube and video creators nowadays. Back in the day, if you had an idea for a movie or a short series, you had to go to Hollywood, you had to pitch it to somebody, and you were getting shut down more times than not. Nowadays, directors, producers, cinematographers are able to go on YouTube and create their own content. They don't have to go and depend on they don't have to depend on a big Hollywood, production house to back them anymore. They don't need to do that. They can go out there and grind and hustle for themselves and make their dreams come to fruition. And that's just one small, minuscule example of how platforms like these are adding great value to budding entrepreneurs. It's honestly, it's a beautiful thing to for myself to witness, and it just gives me more hope. And it's exciting because I'm excited to know what the future holds in terms of, technology and business and all that good stuff. It's a great time to be alive. It's a really great time to be alive. And that's probably the best way that I can kind of just sum it up in a couple words. It's honestly a great time to be alive.
Yeah, what I think is pretty cool too is how people are turning side hustles into full-blown businesses.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, and the idea that we have so many tools and resources available to us, so we have essentially no excuse as to, why we shouldn't, know how to. I don't know how to edit a video, or I don't know how to, create motion graphics. Or it's kind of no excuse because, like I said, we have plenty of resources out there that you can use, whether paid or unpaid. Of course, generally you want to lean more towards resources that you would have to pay for because they generally are more thorough and more in-depth and, have more of a solid foundation to them. But with that being said, like I said, entrepreneurship is, we're definitely going to be talking more about that on other podcasts in the future because it's something that is constant, day in, day out. You got to eat, breathe, shit.
And straight up. And the thing is, we're very curious to hear about your entrepreneurial dreams. So if you would like to share those with us, go ahead and follow us on our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud at BLVCK, Black Chalk, all one word. And share with us some of your dreams and ambitions, and maybe share with us some of your struggles that you've experienced on your entrepreneurship journey. We're very curious to hear more about you guys and what you not necessarily struggle with, but the because there's beauty in the struggle. At the end of the day, there really is beauty in the struggle, and if you're able to pinpoint your shortcomings, and you can turn those defeats into wins, because you learn more when you lose than when you win, because sometimes those shortcomings get covered up when you win. When you lose, those are opportunities for growth. That's what I like to call them. I like to look at opportunities for growth. So go ahead and share with us your opportunities for growth, or even share with us some of your business knowledge if you want to on our social medias. Again, that is BLVCK Chalk, one word, Black Chalk, and that's Twitter, Instagram, and SoundCloud. So without further ado, we kind of want to jump into the next point of discussion, which is innovative and sustainable business models that we felt like are something that is going to be really prevalent in the future, if not really prevalent now. So I think the first one is subscription-based models, and you really see that a lot in like Twitch, YouTube. Is there what do you want to speak on about that?
So yeah, I think in regards to, like you said, Twitch and YouTube, those are a form of like subscription-based models. Other forms that I like to also talk about is like kind of like subscription-based boxes too, like like the Dollar Shave Club. I think that business model is really unique but pretty cool because like you're able to package and bundle various products into a box that someone will receive, monthly. And I think that's, instead of you having to consciously always go out and have to purchase these items, you expect it, you get it at your doorstep every month. So I think a lot of business models are centered around the idea of convenience. And a lot of businesses, that's what we lean towards. We want to make it more convenient to do things and make it easier so we can save time. It seems like time is more valuable to us now than ever before. And, hence why these podcasts are 25 minutes instead of 40 minutes. Ain't nobody got time to listen to a 40-minute podcast.
We would love to talk to you about. We have plenty of stuff we can talk to you about for 45 minutes, but we feel like the value kind of, it's the law of diminishing returns. After a certain amount of time, we don't. Yeah. But models, subscription-based models. For instance, there's a story that I read in the media this week. Ninja. For all you Fortniters out there, he's a big-time Twitch streamer, plays Fortnite. He, just off subscriptions alone and viewership, makes $350,000 a month. Now, growing up, I played a lot of video games myself, and my mom hated that.
Yep.
Say, get outside and go do something productive with yourself. Now, productive, that's the key word. 10 years ago, that wasn't productive. Nowadays, if you're spending maybe 12 hours a day streaming, that's productive in the sense where you can make money doing that off subscriptions. You know what I'm saying? You can make money. You're adding value. People will want to come and see you game. And that is something that today, as a gamer, I knew the potential was there. Like, I knew the potential was there. If you ask any gamer if they felt like one day they can make a career out of it, they would say yes. But now it is becoming more of an accepted, job, and that's the thing. Jobs aren't just 9 to 5s anymore. Traditional clock in and clock out. They're shifting with the times, and this is just one example of how abstract the workplace has become and will continue to become. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny too. Like that just goes into the topic of the power of social media. You tend to hear a lot of negative about it. About, of course, social media can be addicting and social media takes up a lot of people's time. People aren't. You gotta look at the good too. There are people making a living off of Instagram. People making a living off of YouTube, off of Twitch. They're making a living off of just using these platforms and using their voice and their unique personal brand to build something. And I think what could you say about that? If they're making good money.
So now that you mentioned social media, I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed that kind of hinders somebody from taking that next step into from turning their Twitter page into a personal brand is the fact that, social media started out as a place where you can connect with your friends outside of school or outside of work and whatnot. I think what stops people from taking that next step into a personal branding is the fact that they care maybe too much about what their peers would think, And I think that's a dangerous mindset to have, because if you start to care too much about what other people think, then you're not living your life. You're living the lives of what other people want you to live. And that is, what value are you bringing to yourself at that point?
At that point, you're not even really living.
If
you really think about it, you're just existing.
Yeah.
You're not even living your own. If you live your whole life based off of the beliefs and the ideas that someone has placed on you, you are literally living a life that isn't even yours. So you're not. It's like you got to be able to step outside of yourselves and be able to step outside that box and say, okay, I know myself. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. I don't care what the next guy says. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do it.
In a sense, those are shackles. Those are mental shackles that I'm not gonna. I'd be lying if I say those are easy to liberate yourself from. I'd be completely lying. But I feel like once you do liberate yourself from those shackles, you have that metaphorical monkey lifted off your back, and you are, from that point, able to really thrive and step into your greatness. And that's just what I want all you listeners to really come to terms with, is we just want you to be able to step into your greatness, because we believe in each and every one of you, in the potential that resides inside of you. It's there. It's not a matter of if it's there or not. It's a matter of, do you want to tap into it? That's the question, is do you want to tap into it, and how bad do you want it? Those people that you see on Instagram that have a huge following, or those YouTubers that have a huge following, their personal brand, they believed in themselves. They believed in the potential that they had. They believed in what they had to offer people, and they took that step, and they are now successful or on their way to success. We just feel like everybody that's listening to this channel, obviously you have some type of interest in, wanting to be successful, whatever that means to you. We just believe that if you take that step, if you may have already took that step, but if you haven't, what's stopping you? I want to know. Reach out to me. My Instagram, my Twitter is, at NWSwag. Reach out to me. I want to know what's stopping you from taking that next step and stepping into your greatness. I want to be able to help you liberate yourself from whatever is holding you back. So go ahead and reach out to me, Black Bubbles. I know he's more than willing, more than open to anything if you guys want to come to him about too, because he's a very knowledgeable person in that sense himself. But there's a couple other business models. We kind of got a little bit off track that we want to talk to you all about before we leave you today. So what's our next one we got on?
So the next business model we really want to talk about is kind of an experience-based business model. One that people may be familiar with now is the Amazon Go experience. So I've had a few friends that have said nothing but positive things about that experience at Amazon and being able to walk into the store, purchase groceries, and walk out. Like That's kind of cool.
You know, and I was reading some statistics that said one of the millennials nowadays, they care more. They would rather spend money on experiences than just objects. And that in itself, yeah, you're going to the grocery store, but that's experience of being able to go to the grocery store, get your stuff, and then just walk out. That is something that's cool. That's kind of edgy. Yeah. That's edgy, and that's an experience that Amazon really smart for tapping into something like that.
Yeah, and see, we're in the age of the digital era, like where you have big powerhouses like Amazon who is taking over the digital space in regards to sales. So you have all these online sales avenues that you purchase from. So we're seeing it so frequently because we're using our devices more. So a lot of brick and mortars they need to start being able to make a shift to where, okay, how are we going to make this experience for customers unique, memorable? How are we going to make them want to come back? Because now, like I said, you can just scroll on your phone and you can pretty much purchase just about anything you really want.
Yeah. And you know, you touched on it. That's what I really feel like makes a business model sustainable in today's age is when you center your business around the consumer and the customer's experience. Because once a customer feels like they have power or they have the freedom to do what they feel like they need to do, then they're more inclined to want to do business with you. You know, when you're not restricting them from what they can do. For instance, yeah, there's rules and regulations that come along with being a YouTuber, but for the most part, you have the creative freedom to do what you want, and that's what a lot of people today are looking for, is just that freedom to be them. Freedom. They don't want to be, I'm not trying to, counterculture, but they don't want to be conformist. They want to be non-conformist, and that's everybody is their own unique individual, of course. But in today's day and age, companies are really tapping into that need and desire to want to set themselves apart, themselves being the consumer, apart from each other.
Yeah, and times have changed, man. A lot of these businesses are starting to have less control, and the consumers are becoming the ones that dictate how things go. So you don't want to lose your customers, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to adapt, man, and if you don't, then you tend to fall backwards, and you lose to the next up-and-coming business like Amazon.
Exactly. That lifetime customer value far exceeds the cost of, bringing in a new customer. You don't want, a lot of businesses are afraid to lose customers, so they're always rapidly evolving. Look at Snapchat, for instance. I'll use that as an example. They just came out with an update not too long ago that a lot of their consumers weren't too happy about, and it's just that need to continuously update your app. It's like they fixed something that wasn't necessarily broken. I've become more accustomed to the update nowadays, but me personally, I felt more comfortable with the previous update, and that's just one example of a business continuously trying to update itself and not necessarily listening to what the customers themselves wanted.
Okay, that's a gray area though. Okay, because you gotta look at this. There's certain. Not every business is gonna run the same way, and there's no right way to run all businesses. So you can take that Snapchat concept. Everyone, you can see it all through social media, the uproar. Everyone's like, "What? I don't like this new update. What's going on?" As much as we've complained on social media, Snapchat's not changing it. The Snapchat CEO had came out and even said, "No, we're not going to change it." And it's a business decision that he's making. And if you look at the numbers, it actually shows that there have been more. There's been a spike and an increase in downloads of Snapchat since they have used that update.
People want to see it. Yeah. People want to see the update now. Because they've talked about it so much on social media. People are like, okay, let me see what this hype's about. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about social media.
Got him.
That's the thing. Exactly. That's probably what that CEO said when he was scrolling through his Twitter feed. He was like, gotcha, bitch. Yeah. Got him. Because, I mean, all that talk, I'm a huge, fan, believer of the whole no publicity is bad publicity, because they're talking about your product nonetheless, and that's generating views, that's generating people, driving people to the app. So was that update a bad move on the consumer side? Maybe temporarily. A minor setback for a major comeback, but on the business side, I would chalk it up as a win.
Yeah, and think of this too. Also, think of how many times you didn't like the update of an app, and then somehow magically with after a few weeks you even forget that the app had even changed.
Yeah, because it becomes so integrated into your daily routine that, yeah, like you said, it's people tend to forget, what it was like before. And I can consider myself one of those people because, the apps or the update's been out for about maybe 2-3 weeks now. I've become accustomed to it. I don't even bat an eye at it anymore. I don't even necessarily, if the app were to roll back to the previous update, I wouldn't necessarily say how comfortable I was with it. I like this update now. I wasn't a fan of it before, but I see what they were trying to do with it, and I'm on board, with it. So it's interesting. It's very interesting, but this conversation doesn't end with the podcast today. Remember, follow us.
And that was quick.
Yeah, it was quick. It was very quick. Today's day and age, everyone, that instant gratification, that quickness. But the conversation does not end with this podcast. It is an ongoing discussion. With that said, go ahead and reach out to us on our social medias. That, again, is Twitter, Instagram, and SoundCloud. Facebook will be coming shortly. I will get that out to you guys soon. And for this existing social medias, the handle is BLVCK, Chalk, Black Chalk, all one word. Go ahead and reach out to us. Again, we are very curious to hear about your entrepreneurship journeys and what that looked like, because not everybody's journey is the same, and that's really the beauty about it. There's always beauty in the struggle, and if you're able to find that, then you are able to become that much more efficient as an entrepreneur. So again, we thank you all for listening to today's episode. We really hope you found some value to it, and we really hope you enjoyed it. Bubbles, is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
And like Ray said, please reach out to us though if you have kind of ideas and questions about things. I have a lot of general and somewhat great knowledge in regards to digital marketing, SEO, building personal brand, and things of that nature. So I have that experience. I believe I'd be able to help with kind of like ideas that you have on certain topics. So just reach out to us, man. Black Bubbles, 2 S's.
Yeah, collaboration is key. Don't forget, collaboration is key. This is the new wave, and do not be afraid to let people ride your wave. With that said, I bid you farewell. This is the sign off. Black Bubbles, Ray Williams, and we'll talk to you guys and gals next week. Enjoy your guys' week, everybody, and go out there and be productive. God's plan. Go out there and do something special for somebody this week. Again, I know I've mentioned it a couple of times already during the podcast, but go out there and do something special for somebody this week, and just go ahead and mention us in the comments what you did, because I really believe in adding value to somebody. What that does for somebody is immeasurable. It could just be a smile. Just go out there and do something for somebody. Thank you guys and gals for listening, and enjoy the rest of your guys' day. Thank you.